how did a hurricane lead to the foundation of this podcast and my book, Wimp to Warrior? Hey, stay tuned. You'll find out right now. Hey, Louise Thaxton here, and man, am I excited about episode 1 of the Wimp to Warrior podcast, and just sharing a little backstory and how did this podcast even come to be. You know, if you listen to some very smart people in literary circles, an inciting incident is an event or a point that arrives at the beginning of a play, storybook, or a film. And this is very smart people that say this, but it disturbs the actions and the life of the main character, and it sets him or her on a mission to pursue something vigorously. An inciting incident starts the action of a story and sets the main question that readers want to know. Well, if my life were a story, let's face it, that's what our lives are, Hurricane Rita would have been that inciting incident. And the story would have begun like this. It was a dark and stormy night. And really, it was. And Hurricane Rita was headed our way. It was late September of 2005 in central Louisiana when we realized that, guess what? The weather forecast had actually been correct. Hurricane Rita would indeed sweep north and unbelievable 200 miles from the coast, bringing winds with it of 115 miles per hour at landfall. You see, I'm central Louisiana, folks. That should have never hit central Louisiana. 2005 was a record year for storms in the Atlantic, and some of you may have heard about Katrina. It happened 3 weeks before, but this was Rita. And what does that have to do with my story? Everything, folks, everything. It's the reason that I have this podcast. It's the reason that I wrote a book. And I just want you to encourage you that right now, and it's because of what I learned from that hurricane, you can go from wimping out and accomplishing your goals and dreams to becoming a warrior who fiercely can fight all the enemies of your success. And yes, you do have enemies of your success. I call them foes, forces of evil. And here's a few of them, and I bet some of you have encountered them. Fear, doubt, chaos, procrastination, apathy. Well, that's just naming a few. And here's another thing I'm going to share with you in this podcast is you can go from wimping out to being a warrior, and you can do it in 52 days. And the reason I know this is because of Hurricane Rita. That's right, a hurricane. You see, in just a few short hours, Rita destroyed a farming operation that our family had, that I lovingly referred to as regular income for our family. And guess what? We had zero property insurance. That's right, zero. And this was regular income. You know, that income that pays for electricity and pays the house note. Yeah. Well, to rebuild and to bring that operation income back would take a year. And wow, that year was going to be a long year with no money. You see, it's those times in life that you know that you're called to step up, that you're called to be a warrior. That inciting incident, that inciting event happens. Someone loses a job. Someone's health fails. Children grow up and prepare to enter college. Parents need help. You know the incident in your life. You know the events in your life, the story that had the potential to change everything for you. And that's what Hurricane Rita did for me. I was called out of my comfort zone and into a war against what had been hindering my business success. What I realized in my personal transformation was that success in any industry, in fact, success of any type, it's a fight. And it's not a physical fight, but a mental fight. To increase the income for my family, I needed to increase I was in sales. So to increase my income, I needed to increase my sales. To increase my sales, I had to go outside of my comfort zone. I was working and living in a small rural community, and I had to move outside of that comfort zone into a military community in a neighboring town. In order to serve these military clients, I'm in the mortgage business, and in order to serve active duty military with a home loan, I also needed to learn about the military culture and the core values of my clients. And folks, I was totally unprepared for what happened next. I fell in love with serving those who serve by providing home loans to active duty service members. And as I began to serve military clients, it didn't take long to discover that some of the challenges facing these warriors when they return from war, such as higher rate of suicide, post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury. And although I personally have not served in the United States military, my father was a Korea and Vietnam War veteran. My stepfather, World War II in Korea. So I had family who had served, and I knew firsthand some of those challenges. It became evident to me that there was a gap, there was a divide between the civilians of this country and the warriors who protect them. Today, I travel the nation, holding 40 events per year, spreading the message of the military-civilian divide, and I've taught over 32,000 real estate and financial professionals in over 34 states. I'm honored to head up a nonprofit created by the company I work for, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, which has given back millions of dollars to disabled veterans around the nation. But what I want to share with you is using the mindsets, the disciplines, the tactics, I'm going to call it the habitudes, that I share in this podcast. In the weeks following the devastation of Hurricane Rita, I not only doubled my sales production in a mere 52 days, but my sales doubled again the next 52 days. Before the hurricane, my sales production was mediocre. And I know you know what I'm saying when I say no one is really happy or content with mediocre or lukewarm. Within just a few weeks of implementing the disciplines of changing how I thought, yes, that's what I said, I changed how I thought, my sales improved drastically and then quadrupled in a matter of just a few short months. Now, one thing I want to emphasize to you is this. I'm not sharing my business accomplishments to you to impress you, but only to impress upon you that success can be achieved. Listen to what I'm saying. Your success, anyone's success, can be achieved through changing how you think. In fact, I don't even like talking about my sales success because of the fear of being perceived as arrogant or boastful. But I am passionate about sharing this message that anyone can achieve massive success when you apply these disciplines. And I want to set out for you as an example that I live in rural America, and if I can achieve huge sales success, so can you. 52 days. That's all you need to develop a warrior mindset which can transform your life, your business, your health forever. And that's what I hope that this podcast will equip you with, the weapons of warfare needed to fight for that war for success. Implement the daily rituals and disciplines of America's elite special operations forces. And folks, annihilate the habits that have held you captive for years. All of which will help you develop the mental toughness necessary to transform your life, your business forever. Now, why 52 days? Now, one of the reasons is depending upon the branch of service, military basic training can be from 7 to 10 weeks. And just as these military boot camps are created to psychologically transform a young recruit into a warrior capable of performing under combat situations, the 52-day period of time is designed to be a period of transition from ordinary civilian to elite warrior. And this time of basic training is a means of that evolution. You know, just as the habits, rituals, and disciplines the attendees will learn in this podcast, every part of it is necessary. And guess what? There are 752 days in a period, so you can use these same tactics and strategies in many areas of your life. I believe that there are 7 mindsets that you need to truly change your mind and change your life. And they've been called different things. You could call them different things, but these are how I label them. Is a mindset of purpose. It's a mindset of why. It's a mindset of why do you get up in the morning? What keeps you up late? What gets you up early? Your purpose, identifying it, thinking about it. The second one is a possibility mindset. The quote is by Henry Ford: whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. But you need a possibility mindset. And the third one is passion. And really, if you think of purpose and possibility as a vehicle, then passion is going to be the fuel for that vehicle. It's what's going to drive you. It's the fire in your belly. It's what's going to get you up and keep you up late at night. Working on what you know to be the plan, which is the fourth, having a plan. A lot of times we get fired up about stuff. We have a purpose and we believe it's possible, but we don't have a plan. You need a plan. You need a structure for how you're going to create this life of success. The fifth one is priority management. Now, I do not believe there's anything such as we talk about having time management. I don't believe you can manage time. Everybody gets the same 24 hours. You can't manage that. But what you can do is you can prioritize that. And that's what we're going to talk about in this podcast. The sixth one, it's about perseverance. It's about just keeping on. You're going to be discouraged. You're going to, get to the point where you think this isn't working. You just keep going. And the seventh and last one is becoming a promise keeper. Right now, I know many of you are thinking of promises that you made in the past to yourself. Those are the promises that hurt us so bad, is we promise ourselves we're going to do better in sales. We promise ourselves that we're going to eat healthy. We promise ourselves that we're going to spend more time with relationships that matter, our friends and our family. We promise ourselves, and then we break those promises. When you become a promise keeper, that's one of the things that drives you. It's a mindset of a promise keeper. One of the most powerful quotes powerful truth was by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. I love him. I've read several of his books. He's an Army psychologist. And in a book by Allison Lewis, she quotes him talking about what it takes to overcome fear. Because right now, those of you who are listening to this, you're thinking, oh, I want to do this and I want to accomplish. And you have this big, huge goal that you want to do. But fear, that is the number one foe. And as an Army psychologist, and I want you to listen to this, Dave Grossman said, talking about men and women that run into the fire, that run toward the enemy, the men and women who serve this country. And he says, it isn't courage. This is his quote. Courage is not what it takes to overcome fear. It is love. You see, it is going to be your love for your family. That's what helped me. I'm just going to say this. I felt a calling to a whole different profession. I didn't want to be in the mortgage business. I didn't want to increase my sales because I didn't want to even be in that business, but I did it anyway because I loved my family. And that is one of the things that will drive you. It is love that will help you to overcome fear. I think one of the greatest fears we have is that we will live a life of mediocrity. Right now, some of you are thinking, what does my life even matter? I believe we fear at the end of our days, we're going to look back and be devastated that our time on earth had been spent for nothing. What if we had lived out our days with no purpose than our own vain and selfish pursuits? Maybe you feared that you will make choices to spend your life's minutes, hours, days, weeks, and guess what? Eventually years. That's how that works. Indulging yourself instead of being poured out for others. What I want to share is any success you achieve will always be as you are serving others. You see, that's when we are truly fulfilled and content. So what is in your heart to accomplish? If it's an honorable mission, it's going to help others. And it's because of love. If you're a sales professional like I am and was when I transformed my business, when you doubled and tripled and quadrupled production is possibly going to help build a financially secure future for yourself or your family. Even if your goal is personal and you want to get physically fit, live a healthier lifestyle, make better choices for food, exercise, you will live a longer and better life while enjoying your friends and family. Friends, it's time for you to stop playing small. This quote from A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, I love it, and I'm going to read it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. Folks, as you have joined this Wimp to Warrior podcast, we're going to talk about the 52-day journeys that take weeks. It takes work, takes commitment. But you know what? It's time for you to make a decision. You can go from wimping out to being a warrior and taking that first step toward achieving your biggest dream. You can do it, and you can do it in 52 days. It's time. It's time, folks. Let's do it.